Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Vergara and my topic is on making FAFSA more accessible. Now, in case you don't already know what FAFSA is a government form that we fill out to determine whether or not we are eligible for aid, and if so, how much. This aid can come in forms of grants, work study, and low interest loans. Now, my first issue with FAFSA is that it's too difficult to understand. First generation low income students with immigrant parents often find this what is supposed to be an opportunity, like an open door for a college education. They find it to be more of a tedious obstacle because they don't have the luxury to rely on their parents or to reach out to their parents for help on filling out these government forms and looking through their taxes and inputting what needs to be inputted. The language is too complex for even an English fluent speaker to understand sometimes, which is why it's understandable that the students and the parents would be struggling. The language seems to be written for and by someone working in the government. So jumping into FAFSA blindly could result in making mistakes in your application that could result in less aid. Now, this can greatly negatively impact low-income students because they are not receiving the aid that they need and that is theirs for the taking because of these mistakes. Of course, the complex language and just the whole financial aspect of it can be very intimidating to a lot of students as well, which can turn them away from receiving financial aid. My solution to these issues is to maybe make the language in financial aid a little more easier to understand, or maybe cut it down from 180 questions to less questions, because if you put in too much information, they can be getting them confused and put it in incorrectly. I also believe that maybe I propose that we make one-on-one FAFSA workshops mandatory and put them in offer them in every high school in the state of California for seniors. That way, parents and students can get hands-on one-on-one training on filling out the FAFSA. They can get a better understanding of what it is and how to fill it out so that they don't make mistakes and they get a more accurate estimated aid. Another issue is that some people find themselves too rich for aid and too poor for college. This is because FAFSA only considers your family's income and not their expenses. When you apply for FAFSA, what they do is they take your income, all this information from your taxes, and they calculate your estimated family contribution. Now, the issue with this is that because they're only considering your income and not your expenses, they're expecting you to contribute way more money than you actually could. So people that find themselves in this situation sometimes find themselves with loans made available to them, which can be helpful, but by taking out so many loans instead of receiving other kinds of aid that they don't have to repay, they start to accumulate a debt that grows over the next 4 or maybe up to 6 years, leaving them in debt by the time they finish college. Now, my solution to this is to include family expenses, maybe just the big ones like mortgage and house payments, the same thing, mortgage or bills in the family expenses, so that you get a more accurate estimation of how much your family could actually contribute. So another issue, a growing issue, is that financial aid has been shrinking. So even if we do get students to become aware of this opportunity, of this aid, the budget is shrinking. So there is less money being made available to these students. So this could mean that either everybody gets less money, or some people will start to be considered ineligible to receive this funding, which will just make the gap between these too rich for college folk and a college education. Now, recently, the Trump administration has proposed that we make cuts in student financial support, such as the Pell Grant, the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, and Federal Work Study. These are all programs that benefit low-income students, often people of color, and they are making these massive cuts in these programs because they feel that the money is not being used effectively, which is mostly due to the reason, because because students don't apply, there's money left on the table. They're not aware of this opportunity, so they don't apply and they don't get the money that they need. So there's leftover money sitting in the budget that is theirs, but they don't know about it. So my solution is that we spread awareness of it so that we can show the Trump administration that this is not a way, or the administrations in general, that this money is not for the taking. This money belongs to the students, and that it is not a waste because it is going towards something that will benefit the entire country in the future. I also propose that we pour more funding into financial aid, and we can do this by taking money from maybe less essential programs and putting the money towards there. And this has been my policy proposal. That's all, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Have a nice day.